Hey everyone, Tyson the Subaru specialist from Subaru Prince George here. This is our 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness in the Magnetite Gray. This is actually the first Magnetite Gray Wilderness Outback that we've had. I quite like the look. The black cladding doesn't stick out quite as much against the dark gray, the Magnetite Gray. So it's a little bit more subtle, but those anodized copper accents do pop a little bit more. And you can see a lot of black cladding on the front bumper, but it blends in really well with the color of the vehicle. There is still definitely a difference in color, but it's not quite as pronounced. And then of course, these anodized copper covers, those indicate locations where you can put in the eye bolt for a tie-down recovery point. We have the front view off-road / parking camera, steering responsive LED headlights, which are ridiculously bright. And then we have this strip down the hood, and that's designed to reduce sun glare for the driver. So bouncing off the hood. This being a matte surface color, not glossy, doesn't reflect as much. It's pretty cool. I actually noticed it the other day when I took one of these for a drive. Now, we have done paint film on this one, paint protection film on the front. You can see the line, if you look carefully, right there, all the way across. Now, it doesn't cross the decal, the sticker, the decal, however you want to call it. It actually goes around it, and the reason being it would turn it into gloss, and it doesn't, this paint film doesn't adhere necessarily well to those matte style decals. So front end painted areas are protected. Then we have those more aggressive fender flares, wheel arches. We've got the dark gray, black mirror caps, a little bit of a texture to it as well. Got our Wilderness badge. These anodized copper pieces indicate tie-down hooks. So when you get the Thule extended crossbars, you can use these to secure things to them. And the reason they've done that is they expect people are going to put heavier things on the roofs of the Wilderness Outbacks, things like rooftop tents. Now, we do also get the anodized copper Outback there. I quite like that. It stands out really well on the black cladding. And then we get the exclusive 17-inch wheels. And all of the Wilderness Outbacks come with the Yokohama Geolander AT tire. And it is actually snowflake rated, so you're legal for all highways in BC at all times of year. Blacked out badging, more Wilderness badging. We've got those anodized copper tow hook, eye bolt recovery locations. Backup sensors in the rear bumper. It'll actually apply the brakes if you're going to hit something in reverse between speeds of 1 and 15 kilometers an hour. Now, this does have the proximity tailgate, but because the vehicle's running, it won't work. So essentially, right below, just to the right of the bottommost star, there's a button. Press, and it's power. And in the back of the Outback, there is a ton of storage. It's nice and tall, it's wider, it's deeper than the previous generation Outback, so good amount of storage. Privacy cover is actually 2-stage. We've got that, and then so you can still fit some taller items underneath it and keep them out of sight, out of mind. Grocery bag hooks, which I know, they seem like they're kind of a silly thing. They work really, really well. Hard tie downs, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side, so 8 hard mounted tie downs. We've got a 12-volt outlet for any charging needs, portable cooler. You bring a pump to the lake to inflate inflatables. And if you need more room, the seats go down virtually flat. That's not down all the way because the third seat belt that comes out of the roof is holding it up a little bit. But this side, there we go, much better. And this material, it's not quite the same material as the cargo tray that this comes with, but it is kind of a rubberized material. Now, underneath this false floor, we have room for our cargo cover, and we got a full-size tire on a matching alloy wheel. So they've actually made it so you can do a 5-tire rotation. And the idea is you're going to take this off the beaten path. A temporary spare is not going to work, or could potentially not work as well for you. So they've done a full size, which is excellent. Every vehicle should actually come with a full size, in my opinion. I wish more vehicles did. Putting the seats up, really, really easy. Now, this is the soft touch all-weather upholstery. They call it StarTex in the States. That's the brand name. It's a Subaru-made product. 20% recycled plastic. The rest is synthetic, and it's got that hexagon pattern, and it's gray and dark gray with the copper accent stitching. Now this is designed to get dirty, and that's why it's not perforated. So it's an alternative to leather, because most leathers are now perforated. So go biking, hiking, whatever, get dirty, hop in the Outback, drive home, come back out, wipe it off with a cloth. Very, very cool. The Wilderness comes with the Wilderness floor mats, 2 in the rear, 2 up front. We've got heated seats, high and low, for each outboard seat. The person in the middle, unfortunately, in addition to having them sit in the middle, doesn't get a heated seat. Vents out of the center console, and 2 USB ports, 2.1 amps for charging. And there is actually decent headroom. I'm a taller guy at 6'2". I fit in the second row of the Outback comfortably. Up front, more copper accenting. Power windows, locks, mirrors as you'd expect. We've got this carbon fiber-esque trim. It's dark, kind of continues throughout. Power driver seat, including the lumbar support. It's that same material up front as it is in the rear, just on the headrest. Both the driver and the passenger, it says Subaru Wilderness, which I like it. It's pretty cool. I've put my head against a headrest. I can't tell. It doesn't stick out. It's not rough. No sharp edges. Very comfortable, really. On the inside, left-hand side of the steering wheel, we have our Bluetooth and audio controls. You can make and take calls, control the volume of the calls and the music. These arrows down here will change the small display up top. Look at a bunch of different information depending what you want to listen to. Or look at, sorry. You can see what you are listening to. Right now it's set to octane. Clock, a bunch of cool things. So you will always have a digital speedometer up, and you'll always have your analog. So they've changed it. One of the screens that we're cycling through right now, that actually used to have a digital speedometer as one, but I guess so many people had that up that they wanted to just have that as a constant. Right hand side has our adaptive cruise, our lane centering, and this is the follow distance increase or decrease for the adaptive cruise. Now, when I turn on the cruise, you get an image of the Outback there, and you can see there's 4 bars ahead of it. And I can go down to 1. That's a ratio. So 4 bars at 100 kilometers an hour is approximately 150 to 180 feet behind the vehicle ahead of you. If you want to follow closer, you can, and that's just by hitting this down arrow, and each time you do it decreases. So if you wanted to tailgate someone, you could. I haven't done that at highway speed just because that's not how I drive. And then I turn on lane centering, and so that little image of the steering wheel comes up. And how that works is if either of these two stereo color eyesight cameras can see the road lines, it actually will illuminate on whichever side. So they're light gray right now because I just turned it on. It was set to just warning buzzer only. I just set it to all the functions, but it'll actually show you which side it can see, and then it'll give you gentle steering input either way to keep you off the line. It kind of feels like it's fighting you. It's easy to overpower. If you had to dodge a pedestrian, a vehicle, an animal, you could do that. Easy enough. And again, both of those are controlled from those 2 color stereo eyesight cameras. We have our heated steering wheel. It does not heat between here and here. And there's this 1/2 inch spot here where it doesn't, but kind of where they expect you to keep your hands, 10 and 2. They're trying to enforce safety. That's kind of what Subaru's known for. Over here, our giant 11.6 inch touchscreen, and they've broken it into 3 portions. The top portion, as you can see, we've got some audio. So shows what you're listening to. Water temp, oil temp, average speed. You can change those widgets around. You can get date and time, weather, whatever you'd like in that regard. Weather has its own screen. That's part of the 3-month trial of the satellite radio that you get. It defaults to DC Metro. You can select most major locations. We have Prince George in there. It's just not set to it. And then this is where you would turn on dual function X mode. So snow and dirt, that's the X mode that almost all Subarus have. All the crossovers, SUVs, unless it's a manual transmission. And then we have deep snow and mud. So that's for really rough stuff. And it turns off traction control there. So it allows for excess wheel spin to chew you out of that gross situation that you're in. Now, X mode is kind of like 4x4 low in a pickup. It locks the all-wheel drive 50-50, changes your transmission gearing, so it's a lower ratio. And the dual function in the Outback is exclusive to the Wilderness. You don't get it in the other trim levels. Now, the center display, we've got our radio, we've got our little Monopoly house for home. Easy to use apps. You'll have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto when you've got something plugged in. When you put it in reverse, backup camera pops up. Shows you the top of the bumper, rear assist braking's on. That's that automatic emergency braking I was talking about. Parking sensors are on. And when I turn the wheel, those orange lines move, show you where you're going to end up. And something that I quite like, you can clean the backup camera. So the angle that the car's sitting at, obviously not a lot of contact, but it makes a big difference, especially up here when the roads are gross or you're going down a Forest Service road, gets dusty or muddy. You don't have to get out and necessarily wipe your backup camera. Now, it's not the same as wiping it, but it will remove most debris. Down below, climate controls. Now, a couple ways to adjust it. You can press, drag, heated seats are just touch, and it's getting really warm in here. So you can do that. You can do the touch, and it is dual zone, as you can see. I've got it lower here and higher there. Now, if I wanted to match it, passenger gets out, I just hit sync, and then both sides are 18, and then it's both controlled from the driver's side. Really easy to do. This down here is our fan strength, increase or decrease. Press that, brings up this screen, shows us when we can change the airflow and where it's going to be. Max ACs through that, recirculation. It's a pretty easy to use system once you're used to a touchscreen. I know lots of people like the physical dials and knobs. I'm one of them. This is actually a very natural transition. I'm used to it. It didn't take me that long, and now I've kind of memorized where everything is. I don't even really need to look and touch. It just kind of adjusts when I touch it. Down here, 2 USB ports for charging, music listening, and using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, an aux cord for any music listening, and then this is a wireless charger. So if your phone is wireless charger compatible, that will go blue when it's charging when you have a device in there. White just means it's on kind of standby. Parking brake, pull up to turn it on. So it's on now. See the little red P for park on the right-hand side there? When I push down on it, it says to press the brake. So in order to turn off the park brake, emergency brake, your foot has to be on it and then down. And there you go, it's off. Automatic transmission, we've got our anodized copper accenting. We've got drive, we also have manual mode. So if you want to select your own gears, we've got upshift and downshift paddles, and you can see bottom left of the center display, it says first right now, and then it'll let me start in second, but I can't start in sixth. So it will only allow you into certain gears depending upon the speed you're at. To the right of it here, front view camera, almost 180 degrees. You can see the escape that's ahead of us right there. Handy for parking lots or off-road. We've got our wilderness floor mats up front. So that badging is only on the front ones. Yeah, I really like the interior. I like the seating material. We have our tilt and slide sunroof, and the top portion of this is all dark. It's not light like the other ones, which is something I only really noticed the other day. I don't find that it makes it seem too enclosed. I actually quite like it. And then my favorite feature ever in any vehicle, auto dimming mirror. So there is no switch to flick. It just automatically dims when someone has their high beams on behind you. Your side mirrors are also auto dimming. If your rear view auto dims, your side mirrors will auto dim. Gone are the days where you flick this and you're still getting blinded out of the side. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but there are 3 buttons there. That's the HomeLink system. So you can hook up to 3 separate garage doors to your mirror. So you don't have to carry a bulky opener on your sun visor. You don't have to worry about forgetting it. And that's actually one of the 2 most forgotten items in a vehicle that has been traded in, is the garage door opener and a CD in the CD player. Those 2 objects. So don't forget about those. And the reason people forget about them, you almost never look up. And that's where people have them. So that's a brief overview of the 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. I'm Tyson, the Subaru specialist from Subaru Prince George. Talk to you guys soon.